Hello Giants fans, welcome to Giants Baseball 101. I'm Gabe Vaughn, your host. First of all, I'd like to say that I'm just truly impressed with the growth of this channel and especially recently, so thank you so much everybody who's subscribed. And honestly, I don't know that it would be an unrealistic milestone to try to have up to 100 subscribers in by the end of this year, so if we could shoot for that, I mean that'd be awesome if we could get that many. So I'm just saying, especially now with the Giants' success and all that, if they're going to be in the postseason, just as many of us as can come in as a group of Giants fans here, that would just be great. Well, the Giants beat the Mets 5-4 today, and let me pause here before digging into the game and just say that I'm kind of impressed, the way the Mets, they're just not performing well for what we thought. I mean, last offseason, they just piled in the bucks on top free agents. They just stocked their roster with top-level talent on there. I mean, in fact, they were the team that snatched Carlos Correa away from the Giants, although that proved to be a steal and throwaway move. He actually went on to the Twins, but still, the Mets just had a roster just full of... They really spent the bucks on trying to be the best and tried to buy a World Series there. And I'm not really up to date on what's been going on in New York, and it could be injuries. Obviously, Edwin Diaz, their closer, he was injured after the World Baseball Classic. It was just one of the most preventable, just most ridiculous injuries heard of. But those things, they happen, unfortunately, just more than they should. So that's the thing with Diaz. But other than that, I'm not sure about injuries that the Mets have. But they haven't really been as good of a team as it seemed like they would be. And you just contrast that to the Giants, who and I'm not excusing their performance in the offseason. I still think that was terrible. But they're really just working with the resources that they've got, and they've just worked their way up to where they are. I believe it's a 46-36 record. So I mean, it is a reminder that while it's good to spend money on free agents, and that's I think some of that is the ultimate way to win. It's just not a perfect predictor, and that's that it's really actually benefiting the Giants now to be playing an opponent that's maybe not as tough as what they were facing. So Alex Cobb came off the injured list and started today. He was fairly solid, went 5 innings, allowed 3 runs, 2 of them were earned. So, I mean, that's fairly solid for a guy who's just been injured, and hopefully he can work his way back into being the really effective starter he was before and stabilize the Giants' rotation a bit, which would help out with the stress that's been placed on the bullpen recently. That would just help out with that a whole lot. But after Cobb came out after 5 innings, the bullpen held the game. Brandon Crawford had an RBI single, and Wilmer, Flores, and Patrick Bailey hit home runs. So you just got to say with Bailey, he's just on a roll. I know I've said this before, but I really see this as just evidence of a whole turnaround as far as Giants prospects and what they're contributing. Before it was more like, it was more just like they would be average at best, and you get a lot of below average performances, and it was just kind of a big reason why they couldn't score runs. But you just see from a few years ago how that's just turned itself around, and I mean, it's incredible. And really, at the catcher position, it's kind of surprising the way Joey Bart's role has just been filled by other guys. I mean, you would have thought the guy that they spent $7 million on in the draft would have been the guy to be the starting catcher by now, but it's just an example of how things can sometimes go contrary to your expectations in baseball. And now Bart is just really... he's been shifted out from that role, and others are taking over, and Blake Sable, he's usually in the outfield, but he'd be he's caught too, and it's just I'm just saying, a catcher, definitely kind of surprising there. But just overall today with Flores and Bailey, we saw home run power from the Giants, which is definitely what they need. So the Dodgers won today, and with the Giants loss and Dodgers win yesterday, that actually brought the Dodgers up to a half game ahead of the Giants. And the Giants, they won today. The Dodgers won today too. So at this point, there's nothing they can do about that. Honestly, they just have to keep plugging away. And you kind of notice that I'm putting just so much emphasis on the Dodgers as being the Giants' main rivals here in NL West competition, as opposed to placing emphasis on the Diamondbacks, who hold first place. And that's for a reason. Maybe I'm still a little too focused on thinking back to 2021 and how that was, but I'm not sure exactly. We're not going to know until the end how this year is going to fit into 2021 and how those years are going to look similar, because it could be an intense battle between the Giants and Dodgers all the way to the end. And obviously, if that's the case, the Diamondbacks would have to be moved out of the way. Now, I could get myself into trouble here. You could sometimes get yourself into trouble by saying things where you either don't know all the facts or they're not completely backed up by data. And I don't really want to do that because I don't know a whole lot of the Diamondbacks and how they're not the team I'm covering here, so I can't predict what their record's going to be going forward or what the talent level on their roster is. I'm kind of ignorant there. I can really kind of just go from just my perception on how things have kind of been recently. But if I had to make a guess, I think the Giants and Dodgers will both eventually, however long or short it really takes here, I think they're both eventually going to get ahead of the D-backs, and it's going to be a battle between the two for the National League West. So if it seems like I'm kind of putting the concern on the Dodgers here as opposed to the Diamondbacks, I'm still just doing that thinking there's a strong probability that both teams are going to overtake the D-backs, and what's going to look like is 2021, where it's just a battle between the two for the National League West. And this year it's very improbable that the Padres are going to be serious competition for it. It might be a three-way, Giants, Dodgers, D-backs. It might just be a close three-way thing, and we'll see how it goes. How the Diamondbacks, again, I just don't really know the details of how the Diamondbacks rebuilt and prepared their roster. That you kind of have to go to another place to find that out, so I don't want to really put too much stock into this, but I mean, even now, the flip side of that is that even now with the Giants a half game behind the Dodgers, if they can at least close the gap between themselves and the Diamondbacks, even if the Dodgers keep winning, that's going to be progress. And the second half of the season, the Giants just need to work their way up. And the series loss against the Blue Jays, that there was a little bit of a setback, but I don't see it as a stopper to the just the massive level of intensity that they had. Now, I feel like I should kind of cover one more thing tonight, because we've been talking about Giants prospects and the ways they're contributing, and I'm sure we all know that Kyle Harrison could be close to a call-up with the Giants. And really, I mean, of course people are going to think different ways about this, but just based on what I've been hearing, I don't think that everybody's just expecting him to be a back-end reinforcer of the rotation. Like, I think that he's seen by some as an ace. And what that really means, and I don't know, like, nobody's going to know how long that would take, if it's going to be a year or two before he can be considered a number one starter. But I think as far as prospect status, he did have that possible future as far as you can predict prospects go. But, I mean, if there's any chance he could come up to the big leagues and be just that this year, it may seem slim, and he struggled. We know he struggled in spring training, and Giants did the right thing sending him to the minors because he had some issues and they need to be taken care of, and he just needed to complete his development there. But he's improved in the minors. He really has. and he may be working his way up to a spot in the Giants' rotation. So there's no way, until he comes up, there's no way to know how good he's going to be in the rotation. But he's definitely going to be up before September. I think that's just a basic fact, and he's going to start. And I don't think he's going to pitch behind opener. I mean, when Sean Jelly came up, it was totally different. Every start he pitched behind opener pretty much. I don't think Harrison's going to do that. I think he's seen as an ace at some point, but whether the Giants could just bring him like smoothly and just have a small bridge to cross, get him into ace status quickly, that might be a possibility, and I think they should pursue it as far as player development and roster management techniques will allow. And what this does mean is that he should not be brought up until he's ready. They should make sure to bring him up at just the right moment, and probably the minor league coaches are going to have pretty good advice on that too. So I think as far as the Giants' major league coaching staff and front office goes, there's got to be some communication with the minor league coaching staff to try to just find out basically when he's going to be ready. There's got to be some communication there so they can make the best decision possible and just bring up Harrison as an elite pitcher in as short of a time frame as possible. So if the Giants do that right with him, I think his potential might be a little bit larger than we maybe realized, or even if a lot of Giants fans did, it was probably kind of crushing just seeing him not play super well in spring training. So that's the information as far as it goes on him. And like I said, the Giants have just turned it around as far as the contributions they're getting from their prospects. So this could just get even better, I think, down the stretch. In a playoff contending year, all of it just doubles in its importance. So just going back to right now, they take game one against the Mets, and Logan Webb should be able to start on Sunday, I believe. I think that's as far as... Oh, wait, no. He started on Wednesday, so I guess he's not pitching in this series. But that's all right. The Giants just need to win one more game, and then they can, and if they could get the sweep, that'd be just great. But they need to just keep up this level of intensity and just come out with a different ending. When they won the first game against the Blue Jays, I was convinced it was going to be a series win, but they just can't lose what they've gained right here against the Mets. So thank you for watching. This has been Giants Baseball 101. Please subscribe if you haven't. Also, please leave your questions and comments. You know where to do it. I'll see you next time on Giants Baseball 101.